Hi, I'm Natalie Crawford and I'm here with Ryan Jenkins, who is an expert in generational differences. Ryan, you just gave a great talk. I enjoyed it so much.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the different generations and the different communication styles between everybody.
Yeah, so we've got really 4 generations in the workforce now, soon to be 5 is Gen Z, which is the youngest generation. They've started to pour in as well. But yeah, every generation has a very unique form of communication, really based on kind of how we came of age, and specifically with the entrance of all this new technology and innovation, it's really muddied the waters. And so folks are having a hard time to figure out how do we effectively connect efficiently and get on the same page as it relates to communication. And so the better understanding we have of the generations, and specifically my space is understanding the emerging generations, they gave us data points into what's next and how we might be able to pivot our communication styles.
What I thought was a great example is millennials. So I'm a millennial, I'm a physician, I'm one of the younger physicians, and you gave a great example about how we never check our voicemails. And we don't, right? I have 64 voicemails right at this moment that I haven't listened to. How do we connect and bridge these gaps between our differences for the older physicians who are in established practices to try to relate and communicate effectively with these younger physicians?
Yeah, I think, bottom line is we've got to all be more nimble. And the strategy I like to teach and share with folks is defer your communications. So no longer is it about the communicatee, it's no longer is it about the communicator and how I want to communicate. It's really about how the communicatee wants to or should receive that information. So in this example, if you're trying to connect with the emerging generations, you're not going to leave them a voicemail because we won't check it. And so that's a waste of your time. So instead, you might have to maybe flex outside your comfort zone and send a text or instant message or something else like that. And the vice versa is true. So if the emerging generations are trying to communicate up, you're definitely not going to DM someone on a social channel or set up a group me. You probably want to pick up the phone and have a conversation or schedule face-to-face. This isn't easy and it's not fun, but this is just the complex 21st century marketplace that all of us are operating in. So we've got to be really good digital communicators, but also really great offline communicators as well. And I think we all just need to be a little bit more nimble, and that's effective, I think, in bridging the gaps.
I think one thing I found really interesting was you talked about Generation Z and how these are usually like 21 and younger, so they're emerging into the workforce, but it'll take a while to get to our workforce,
Sure.
But they are going to become our patients soon. So one interesting thing about our field is that we age out of our patients. And you used a term I hadn't heard but I really liked called digital native. So this is a generation that grew up with technology from the beginning.
Yeah.
And how do we as physicians relate to this generation as our patients, as our consumers? Do you have any advice for how we bridge that gap?
Yeah, the technology gap, I mean, that's what you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's vast, just because technology is advancing so quickly. But yeah, if you think about it, Gen Z is the first generation. The entire generation of Gen Z is younger than Google.
It's crazy.
Which
it's
even,
crazy,
yeah,
right?
even as like a millennial, that makes my hips hurt, like thinking about that. It's just like, that is wild. And so yeah, they literally don't know a world where the world's information has been outside of arm's reach. Right? And they've had a smartphone as far back as they can remember. So that's fundamentally changed how they learn, how they buy, how they search for practitioners and for physicians and doctors. It's changed everything. And so the quicker we can wrap our heads around that and understand how and why they make certain decisions, the better able we are to position our products or services to capture the attention of this next generation. And you may have some good examples on how you're leveraging Instagram to connect with your patients. So yeah, it's just kind of stepping outside your comfort zone and trying to put yourself in the shoes of that generation, because they truly make different decisions, have very different behaviors than any other generation in history.
I always say that technology is no longer optional in our field when it comes to digital media, websites, being able to reach people with content, but every physician or clinic has an online presence, and it's all about leveraging that to communicate. Don't you think that's just more important as that generation is coming of age?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think I help organizations all around the world on this very topic, and it's you have to have those digital assets out there working for you. I always think of it as having these little soldiers out there that are working for you, and so this generation, they're online making decisions. They might be a potential patient or customer before you even know they exist. And so you've got to have those assets out there that are working for you constantly. And like a good example is one of the top platforms this next generation uses to learn about an employer before they decide to work there is YouTube. They're going to YouTube to see what does it look like to work there. So they want to crystallize picture of what it looks like to work there. And I think the same could be true for folks that extend care, right? Is what does it look like to be a patient here? And so I think leveraging those digital assets is only going to serve you better. And yeah, I would say focus on, especially if your goal is to attract and to get in front of this next generation.
Ryan, thank you so much. We loved it. Can you tell everybody, if they weren't able to come to your talk, where they can find you on social media and listen to your podcast? Give them some information on
Yeah,
that.
I think the mothership is ryan-jenkins.com, so that's ryan-jenkins.com. You can connect on any social platforms there. You'll see our podcast there as well. The podcast is called Next Generation Catalyst, and we interview Fortune 500 leaders on the future of work and all of this generational conversation. So look forward to connecting with folks in the future.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.